Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 6 of the final split. I am Golden, and joining me in the green box today, a younger Sinister One.
Hi, I'm Sinister One. Nice to see you guys this week.
We have Andy on the show. Sinister One couldn't be here this week, so Andy is filling in. Welcome aboard. Glad to
Thank
have
you.
you here. How are you holding up?
Here. I'm doing great. This is a nice break from running a marathon for the last day and a half.
Yeah, busy guy. So, in the red box, returning this week as himself, we have Spike Vegeta.
Yeah!
Oh, all right. it's going to be that kind of episode. I like it. And our guest this week in the blue box. Wow. All right, guys, got to control yourselves. We got another hour of this. So,
Like a minute
in the blue box, we have our guest this week, who is Ivan. Ivan, welcome aboard.
Hello, hello.
Hello to you as well. Gentlemen, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic of the day. Let's go ahead and press start here. And let's talk about Banjo-Kazooie. Why not? Looks like some big name changes happened to Banjo this week. Namely, the Furnace Fun Skip that we're taking a look at here. What do you guys think about this? First of all, does one of you want to jump in and explain what we're looking at?
Sure. So pretty much, the way Furnace Fun works is it's basically like a game tile board. You go around, answer some questions, and there's these death squares that have the skull on it, as you see Banjo moving around on it right now. And if you get those wrong, you die. Typically, the game launches you to the left or the right, and you land in the lava and die. But if you position yourself in a specific way on said tile, you don't actually land in the lava. The game assumes you're dead since that's what's supposed to happen, and you can just walk all the way to the end and actually skip the fake credits. So
That's
this saves
huge.
a huge amount of time.
Yeah, we're taking a look at footage here from 615's run. He was one of several people experimenting with this, but managed to knock off a good 6 or 7 minutes from his run there. So yeah, it skips the triggers. It seems to deactivate all of the squares as well. We were in the warm-up meeting, I guess you could call it, earlier in the week. We were comparing it to Legends of the Hidden Temple. When all the doors unlock, all the temple guards go
in.
away. Just let them get to the finish. So yeah, this is it's a big trick, and I guess my thought is it's not altering any categories really, right? Everybody's kind of jumping into it. It
No.
looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I
One
know.
funny thing about the trick though is like the with the death squares, it can be any type of question. So there's a chance it can be a grunty question, which you don't actually know the answers to, and if you get it right, that actually loses you all the time because you'd have to keep proceeding through the rest of the thing as normal and then watch the fake credits. So there's a 1 in 18 chance that you get a grunty question and get it right and lose your run.
And it is only
Instead
on
of
that one
which,
square at the moment, right?
yeah,
So that's why you
they
only get one
haven't.
chance.
Yeah, they haven't found any other squares that it works on.
Cool. That's it's interesting. I know I've seen a lot of people attacking it since it came out. We've seen some people pretending to attack it, but actually playing Star Wars games instead. Shout outs to Striker. Uh, so yeah, that's one of the major skips that we found this week. But let's go ahead and take a look at another one that I think is a little bit more, I would say, like controversial, hot. Let's take a look.
That's the word for it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It is hot.
Let's take a look at the clippy clip here. What is going on in A Link to the Past?
Say, please
All right.
tell us.
So pretty much this Japanese tasser who's done so many good things for A Link to the Past. He's found um, the hammer jump. He found a bunch of different strats for this game. Pretty much like invented the old no EG route. And then he comes back the other day and just like, hey, here, I found this. Have fun. And pretty much, so you see ACMLM here. He bought a potion, which, who needs potions? You're not supposed to get any safeties, right? Well, if you're a pixel away from a screen transition and you go into the screen transition and use the blue potion on the same frame, it actually pulls up the flute menu. For whatever reason, all these different items have different values in a jump chart. And using them during a screen transition adds one number to the value of the jump chart, and the blue potion +1 is the flute. and that's why it's all possible.
So basically, what this trick opens up is the ability to heavily reduce the amount of overworld traveling that's necessary. Is that fair to say?
Not only that, but we skip the entire desert dungeon. We don't kill Moldorm anymore in Tower of Hera. We just get the Moon Pearl and and leave. And then since normally you can't flute in the Dark World, but since this is altering, another item, it lets you bring up the flute menu even in the Dark World. So it skips fighting Aghanim, doing Aghanim's tower, and we can just flute straight to the Palace of Darkness.
So what is the fallout of this particular glitch being found? I know everybody was in an uproar when it was found, defending it or opposing it. Has it settled down yet? Are people kind of figuring out what they're going to do with it?
For the most part, it settled down. There was just a huge, because obviously this shouldn't be the same category as the old any percent no save and quit. And so those categories were getting changed. And then there's also the fact that since this is any percent no save and quit is called that, and it's no save and quit because you want the full content of the game. Like, you're basically beating the game, like every dungeon, you're doing everything you have to pretty much to beat the game. But with this glitch, you skip a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of argument yesterday about whether it should be save and quit or no save and quit. And a lot of the opinions are that it's going to be save and quit because if you're taking out a lot of content, why not just take out more by saving and quitting? Which is a valid argument.
So it'll kind of preserve the content, I guess, for no save and quit.
Yes, pretty much.
Versus being able to skip what you want to there. So, yeah. And how many minutes in total is this saving on average for people?
It probably saves upwards of 8 minutes.
Wow.
No one's exactly timed everything, but with sloppy runs, both ACMLM, Addy, and I have cut 6 or 7 minutes off of our any percent no save and quit times.
Cool.
Now, let me ask you this, Andy. Considering, for many years now, we've obviously had Crystal, who has always had herself separated from the rest of the pack, her 124 and 80%, no save plus quit, no out of bounds. Do you see, even if they are splitting these into two different categories, do you see people still doing the older, kind of more traditional category? Or do you think most people are going to focus on this?
I mean, the the old category, I guess what we're calling it for now is the legacy category. That's a temporary name. I don't think it should be called that at all.
Sure.
But
it's not a very descriptive
placeholder. Okay. We're working on it.
Well, I guess that's what we're calling it in the community, sort of, right now. But yeah, that's going to be the one that's still run every week, Sunday at 3 p.m., the weekly race. And it's still going to be, the category that has the most runners, the most, good times, the most, pride, quote-unquote, sought after. So I don't think that's going to be changing at all.
So do you compare this to maybe the Yoshi's Island Magical Journey stuff where, it cuts out a lot of content to the point where it's so different that people are going to kind of stay away from that category? Like, they might try it once or twice, but they're really going to focus on the original no save and quit? Or is it really going to, branch out and people might focus solely on that?
I mean, the good thing about A Link to the Past is, especially in relation with this category to the old any percent no save and quit, is that there's not really that much difference in terms of what you do. So you can pretty much, there's obviously different routing in the light world and the beginning of the dark world, but they're so interchangeable that you could probably run both just as easily. It doesn't really matter.
Well, let me ask you, Ivan, because you play Link to the Past every now and then, maybe not actively.
I've dabbled, yes.
What are your thoughts on it? Is this something that would bring you back, or no thanks?
I plan on coming back at some point anyway, but I don't think I would be getting into this right away, just because it cuts out 2 hearts from the run anyway.
Okay.
And fighting Helmasaur with 7 hearts is enough of a problem for me.
Yeah, so I mean, it certainly has its own difficulty. I've heard many people complaining about, I guess by many people I mean Patty, but complaining about the inability to do the new category if he wanted to. But yeah, so that's kind of cool. It sparked a lot of talk. I know people were getting pretty emotional about it on both sides, but it looks like it's kind of settling down now, and it's cool to
Yeah.
see stuff like this get found, whether or not it sparks drama or debate. I think it's really cool when just stuff like this that blows your mind gets found. So cool stuff. Let's go ahead and move on here, and we'll talk with Ivan specifically since he is our guest of the week. Ivan.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
Been-
That's it. We're moving on. That's
That's
the
right.
only
We're
question.
gonna interview
Speech, dude.
Let's talk a little bit about just how did you arrive in the speedrunning community, so to speak, and like what did you jump in with?
uh, I guess I used to watch a lot of StarCraft 2 on Twitch, and that was basically it. And I think summer of 2012 is when I got into speedruns, because no one I followed was streaming. So I just went to the game section and I saw that SM64 had like 5,000 viewers, and I was like, what the hell? Why is this happening? And then I found Sig's stream, and through there I found a couple more. And I actually started speedrunning with SM64.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tried doing 120 star, and I learned up to upstairs, and then I decided that screw that.
I think we've all been there. We've all dabbled in the Mario at some point.
Yeah, and I was kind of.
I've never known anyone to start with 120. That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
ambitious.
Usually it's like 16, and then yeah.
I didn't know a whole lot. I wasn't exactly
No
too
fear.
smart when I started, but yeah, I kind of after I quit SM64 for a while, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to speedrun, but I didn't know what game. And then I saw Garrison's run at AGDQ 2013. I was like, I've always loved Super Metroid. It's a fantastic game, so I'm gonna go with that, and here I am.
And then so then you jump forward almost I guess 1 year in time, and you're sitting next to him and two other guys at AGDQ. What was that like playing in that race?
That was just even being there was it felt really weird, but I don't know. But playing in the race was really nerve-wracking. There's a video, I think Minion has a video posted of like right before the race, right before we all go into the room, and everyone's just kind of standing around like really calm, and then he pans over to me, and I'm kind of like just like looking around and shaking. I was like, oh god.
Was there
like,
yeah, were there were the jitters there the whole time while you're racing? Did you kind of settle down at a certain point? Or I mean, I guess it's weird to me, that you obviously have the pregame jitters, but did they ever settle down or?
They were there at the start of Sirius Station, and then I screwed up a little bit in the stairs room leaving Sirius, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I got one mess up out of the way, so not a big deal. And then they went away for a while, and then they came back towards the end. But that's
yeah, that finish was absolutely insane. So
Yeah.
did you know how close it was by the end of that race? Did you know that you and Zost were
Oh
just
yeah,
dead even?
the four of it. Like some of us were talking in the front, like in between, like transition and stuff. We'd like say a couple words or something. But I'm sure Zost was doing the same. But after every like major sequence or whatever, I'd kind of like glance over because the screen. The screens are right there. It's hard not to. But
got to get a peek and see where you're at.
Yeah, and every time, like at the end of Mother Brain 2 and the end of Mother Brain 3, like when she rainbow beamed us against the wall, like we looked at each other like, oh god, like that's ridiculous, and the heads falling like right next to each other, like, are you kidding me? It was unreal how close that was.
There's a thing about when you do marathon runs that even though we have all performed for literally tens of thousands of people, some of us 100,000 people online, that it doesn't really process with us because there aren't that many people actually live at the event. But for your race, the room was absolutely packed. How much was that kind of a factor for you, knowing there was a literal sea of people behind you?
I figured there'd be a lot of, like, I never really looked back to see how many people were there. I saw it in the VOD that it was literally, the room was packed, and you couldn't even get in the door. But I don't know. I didn't really think about it too much during the race.
Did you have any sort of response, maybe on like Twitter or Twitch PMs or anything like that after the race? Was there like just people sending you congratulations or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I got a Well, first, Ivan GPX got a lot of Twitter responses, people congratulating him for the race, and then he kindly directed them over to me. He was like, "Hey, this is probably the guy you should be congratulating."
I know there's been the whole thing about, you sometimes go by like the Ivan.
Oh yeah, I was.
and yeah, a little bit of
This,
little drama there.
little story behind that. I was in I Ate Your Pies chat a little bit after AGDQ, and I'd said I don't know what I said, but one of his viewers was like, "Oh my gosh, is that the Ivan?" And Pies started this whole thing like, "Yeah, that's the Ivan from AGDQ. That's him." So that's how that started.
So that's how that sticks. Okay. Well,
And
I
the
have
dead
something.
happened.
I have something here. You and I have something in common, along with Zos. This was shortly after AGDQ, in Game Informer, nonetheless. Here I can show it on stream. We have this 2-pager here. This was in the March issue of Game Informer. And do you remember what you contributed to that? Do you remember what questions you were answering?
I remember some of them. I know they asked a little bit about AGDQ, and like the history of speedrun the game. I didn't comment too much on the history of the game because I came into it pretty late. I mean, people have been running this game for 10, 15 years. But I know I responded to like something like where do we go from here? Like what could happen next, stuff like that. And it's kind of funny because I said something like that, like we don't use like the optimal route, which is the task route, because it's not really feasible for humans to do. And like, oh, we could still see some major changes like months, years down the line, and then a month later we find that the game is completely broken now.
Yeah,
So
it's absolutely shattered. I remember the guy that wrote that article too. He kind of messaged me after finding out about that and saying, couldn't we have just pushed this thing back another week? Like, so broken.
I thought.
Go ahead. What were you thinking?
I think the article might have had to be several pages long if that had been the case.
Yeah.
it's a little complicated, but yeah.
The complete history of speedrunning Super Metroid and all the tricks. A full explanation. So you're currently, I think, maining Mega Man 7. Is that fair to say?
Mega Man 7, and I'm still playing X2. Just I've given it a slight break since my latest PB.
And do you want to remind us what the milestone was?
It was a 3406, 3
So
something.
close.
It's a low 34.
So close.
I have been grinding that game so hard for almost a month, basically every night, and I had lost so many potential PBs, and then I finally got that. And I was like, you know what? It could have been a 33. I don't care.
It's close enough,
I'm done
right?
with this for a while.
Many of us
I'm gonna
over the
do
years
something
have
else.
Many
Spike?
of us over the years have watched X2 runs. For one of you that's actually on the inside and had to grind out many, many, many attempts of that game, what are the best and worst aspects of running it?
The worst aspects are Wire Sponge and Wheelgator.
Mhm.
Wire Sponge is a big jerk and likes to waste minutes and minutes of my time with resets. And Gator, it's completely our fault if we screw it up, but it's really annoying when you do. But I don't know. It's just a really fun platformer. I don't know.
Are you a part of the potential X2 race at SGDQ?
I am. I'm one of the 4, hopefully, that gets the race.
Yeah, nothing is official yet, but it sounds like it's building up to be the new Super Metroid race of SGDQ, so that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So I guess going back to Mega Man 7 for just a second, what prompted Mega Man 7 of all Mega Mans? Was it a blind race? Was it?
Actually, Mega Man 7's a game that I really enjoyed in my childhood, and then I watched some of the Mega Man 1 to 8 blind race that they did a couple weeks ago, and it just kind of rekindled my love for the game, and I was like, you know what, I think this could be fun to run, and it is. It's a lot of fun.
And you I was gonna say you kicked off the collectathon with it too, which is going on as we speak. What were your thoughts on that run?
It wasn't terrible. I mean, I got one of the quick kills, which I was happy about. Really, the only thing I'm kind of disappointed in is that I died right before Cloudman's door, thanks to some lag bursts. But I mean,
That
it
was
was
great.
a pretty good
That
run.
run's pretty good.
I was happy with it.
It's always a marathon run too. It just has to
Yeah.
happen. Spike, you had a question?
Yeah, I guess it was kind of going back to the same sort of road I was going down with the X2 question. Everyone I've heard over the years always says, "Oh, Seven's a bad game, a bad speed game," and a lot of that, I'm sure, goes back to people just don't like how different it is from the classic games. Why is it better than people give it credit for? What do you find most fun about it? I guess.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, it's certainly like when I watch it, it looks so much fun when you're playing it. And
Yeah,
I've always heard so many people, just taking shots at it over the years.
Yeah, it's
So,
got
I don't know.
some cool tech with the quick kills with noise crush are really fun. And it's got a couple zits too. But yeah, it's something I enjoyed.
Hey, I'll definitely say watching you do Wily 4 when that bodies everyone when they first play it, watching how it's still a pain even to speedrunners.
Yeah, it is.
So, now.
So aside from X2, are there any other games you're running at or hoping to run at SGDQ? Is that
a while ago when we first broke Super Metroid, I'd messaged Rom Scout about putting in like the glitch run, which at that point was the 7-8 minute X-ray climb into Torian into the marathon, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll see what we can do." And then we broke it more and more and more, and now I have no idea what we're doing with it because I haven't talked to him in a while, and there's new stuff that I don't even know how to do yet. But
yeah, it's slowly becoming a science of its own to be able to play the glitch route.
If we do get that, and it won't be me doing it because I'm not that interested in playing the game or learning it or learning the new stuff at this point. But I think as far as the marathon goes right now, yeah, just X2.
I guess my other question then is, are you thinking of any other games on the horizon? Or are you thinking about going back to games you've already been to? Like, what's in the near future for Ivan?
That's a good question. I want to get more into Mega Man 7. I'd like to get a really, really good time in that game, if not the record. And then hopefully, if I can bring myself to deal with the routing, I'd like to get started on a home improvement soon.
Home improvement.
that is something I want to get into Awful GDQ, but
I remember seeing a stream several weeks ago
mm-hmm.
of some home improvement routing. That's exciting. I like that.
Yeah.
Awful games done quick. Here we go. Well,
we all need
pretty
one.
terrible. It's really discouraging that I can't get it to work with Game Saver when there's no reason it shouldn't. But if I have to route it out and practice on emulator, so be it.
All right. Well, I think that answers all my questions. Do you guys, Andy, you want to badger him with a question?
Do I have a question for Ivan?
Maybe it's collective related.
Ooh, who's the funniest guy in the collective?
Ooh.
Oh, balls.
Uh-oh.
We might break some hearts here, ladies and gentlemen.
Funniest. I'm gonna... Man, dude.
I'm just going to say I don't have an answer for this either.
That's hard.
Yeah, I thought...
It's really hard.
I almost jumped at one, but yeah. There's one
or two that I want to jump at, but I don't... I don't know if I want to answer that.
All right, he's keeping it.
Oh no!
Keeping
All
it to
right.
himself. Always
I'm gonna.
the diplomat.
I'll give my answer. I'd go with the sleeper, and I'd say Dave the Fade.
Dave the Fade.
Ooh,
Dave the
that's
Fade.
good.
There you go.
I think I would have said Patty.
Patty.
Yeah,
it's all
Patty.
It's all close. We all have top tier comedians
He's
in
got
our
quite
mumble.
the voice work ability and all that. Likes to do a lot of voices.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our interview there. We'll keep you guys both on board, Andy and Ivan, for the rest of the show here. We'll keep you hostage from the collectathon for just a little bit longer.
I'm sure they're flipping out.
And in doing that, we're actually going to tap into your knowledge here as we move into the record setter segment of the show. And we want to talk about a game that you guys are both familiar with, It's Mega Man X2. This happened a little over 2 weeks now ago. This was Nero's Mega Man X2 run in 33:22. What do you guys have to say about this? What about Nero as an X2 player?
Nero's a fantastic speedrunner, and he's still trying to take this game lower and lower. But this run was unbelievable. I think he got it at like 3 or 4 a.m. our time, and I just happened to catch the end of it as I was still doing my own runs, actually. But yeah, this probably won't get beat for a long time unless it's by him.
So Nero, of course, former Mario 64 runner, correct?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Well, it looks like it made the right choice, maybe to keep going with X2. It looks like that's kind of his game there. Spike, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, ends up beating, I think, BJW's record. I think his was 33:37. So, like a 15, after BJW had like 1 second improvement after 1 second improvement.
Yeah.
This huge 15-second improvement came out of nowhere. I think that was the main thing that inspired us to talk about this, even though it is a few weeks old.
Yeah, it is.
Like Ivan says, it might stand for a little while, to say the least.
It is, slightly old at this point, I guess, but nonetheless, it is fairly impressive here. Do you guys know what the big time saver was as far as compared to previous runs, or what does Nero have over other players?
It was a lot of just different strategies and execution things that had gotten found, like while BJW was playing it and how he took the time solo. Nero just hadn't really gotten a super solid time with all the new stuff yet.
Yeah.
Okay. We're taking a look here. This is the repeated death by Shoryu.
There's actually still a lot of stuff that Nero does that is not outdated, but it's not optimal. But it's more consistent for him. There's a couple places where he loses maybe like a half second here, half second there, but it's consistency over maybe I'll save some time. So.
The most notable probably being the wireframe kill at the end.
Yeah.
He elects to do a 2 Shoryu strat to kill him pretty soon, but it definitely loses probably a solid second over getting the 1 frame or dashing under and killing him in 1 Shoryu as well.
Do we know if he intends to keep going with this game, or is he done?
He's still been playing. He hasn't been playing too well recently. I think he's kind of just getting discouraged with how he's been playing in general, but I think he wants to get into low percent if nothing else in this game, so that should be exciting.
Cool. Well, guys, the replay is there, linked for you on the bottom of the stream, so be sure to head on over to that link and check out Nero's Twitch page as well as this run in its full glory. So once again, that's Nero's Mega Man X2 run, 33:22, and that being said, it's time to move on from that and get into the meat and potatoes of the show. It's time for real talk.
Alrighty.
Oh man, you guys, you sound so excited about it.
If ALTP wasn't real talk enough, let's see what we got.
Let's dive right into something that's appropriate here for you guys. Andy, you're running the collectathon as we speak.
Yes.
Ivan, you've participated in it. You're a runner in it as well as somebody that's hanging out and keeping it going. Spike and I are both yet to go, but we're showing up later in the marathon. So what are your guys' thoughts on online marathons, especially these ones that show up before the GDQs, whether it's, what you think about raising money to go to the GDQs or just in general the online marathons, how they're executed, that kind of thing. Anybody have any thoughts?
I actually don't really mind them that much. I do believe that they should all be, well organized, well executed. But, I mean, in terms of, like, raising money and stuff like that, all the good marathons that are, well organized, look nice, are well executed and smooth will get the money, and the ones that aren't won't.
I think that's well said. Anybody else want to jump in and...
Yeah, I guess my biggest thing I'd like to see from online marathons, because there was a moment last year where I felt like I personally was involved in like 3 different online marathons, and it seemed like there were about 6 or 7 going on in the course of like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my biggest thing would be, if I'm a marathon organizer, I want to find some way that I can set mine apart. whether it is like other than just okay, I'm going to have a lot of big name run, BNRs in my marathon. I'm going to try to make a different kind of game schedule, but trying to figure out like something more
BNRs.
BNRs. Yeah, I went there. Just having something, I guess, possibly more specific. Like you'd have, I'm just going to do a marathon that all it is. Like me and my community, we've talked about doing like a Kingdom Hearts marathon. Doing something that's just a Mega Man marathon, as opposed to feeling like you're just kind of a smaller GDQ of sorts. And I'm not saying that specifically. Obviously, we got the collectathon. We got, I know Matt on the internet's going to do their marathon in a little bit. But I felt like some marathons, because they lacked maybe, the bigger name games and the bigger name runners, they just kind of fell by the wayside and didn't have much success, didn't have much advertising. And if you made it something more specific like that, how that could bring more viewers in, saying, I've got a fan base that is specifically for you for 2-3 days. It's just for you.
All right. I was going to add to that, too, that currently going on this weekend as well, in addition to the Collectathon, we have the Metroid Marathon going on. So that is a marathon that is very specific to one set of games, and it looks to be doing pretty well as far as viewer count. Last I checked, it was sitting at something like 900, maybe 1,000 viewers. So yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying with that. I think last year we kind of hit a point where it was oversaturated. You just kind of felt like on any given weekend there were so many marathons going on that either if you wanted to watch them you couldn't because you just couldn't flip between all of them, or it just reached the point where it was the 12th time that we've seen a 3-day marathon in the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I guess aside from that, are there any other thoughts with relations to online marathons? Are there marathons you'd like to see in the future? What's the next step? Collectathon 2? What is,
Well, let's see. Last year, myself, Mito Requiem, and Rainbowism did a Mega Marathon, which was not exclusively Mega Man games, but it was a good portion Mega Man games. We had almost all the classic games and a bunch of other games done, and we're gonna be doing a second year of that one before AGDQ, but it's gonna be a lot bigger than it was last year.
understandable?
Since 502 crew and the collective, we're all kind of friends now, I guess, and we're all like intertwined in each other. It's pretty much gonna be both those groups and then other people on the side doing like one big freaking online marathon.
Do any of you feel like some of these marathons stick too much to the the safe stuff? Is it always the same runners getting put into these online marathons? Are people taking chances on new people? What are your thoughts on who's actually taking part in these marathons?
Well, I will say that the Collectathon's viewer peak was during TomTron 93's Snowboard Kids run. We hit 2,300 viewers,
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure not many people know that anybody speedruns that game or who TomTron 93 is. So I don't think, the big names or the games being played is a huge factor.
Yeah, it always surprises me what game ends up being the popular game of a marathon. It's never the one you think it's going to be.
Right.
Ivan, you've played in several online marathons. Do you have a favorite from the past?
Let's see. I've done this, Happy Tales, and right, A to Z. I'll go with A to Z.
You were a letter in there.
Yeah.
There we go. Good answer while I'm sitting here too.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
We might.
This guy over here, look at how salty he is right now. It's okay. I'll give you a good review of your marathon, Andy.
All right.
Okay.
It's really nice to see the good reviews that it's gotten so far. Looking at Twitter and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And goals in 5 hours.
What did you say?
You hit your goal in 5 hours.
Yeah, we hit our goal of $1,500 in 5 hours.
Wow.
I haven't checked in probably like 2 hours or 3 hours now, but last I checked, we were almost at 3,100. We're probably a little above that now.
Yeah, we've had some minor technical difficulties, but overall it's been pretty well received.
Yeah, I will say that the toughest part of the online marathon is always the unexpected technical problems you run into. Somebody's stream never, manages to work. or
Or
crash in
internet.
the middle. Yeah. Someone will go to sleep and you'll wish they were awake because they kind of
No,
ruined the
that
game.
happened last night. That happened last night.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I think we kind of all agree. These marathons are obviously they're working. They're helping people get to the marathons. People are willing to donate to them. And I don't think we've really hit a point this year where we're oversaturated yet. I think we're still sitting pretty with the online marathons. Would you agree with that?
I would.
I think people are just getting better at organizing them overall. Even the ones that haven't been as successful, they're just better put together, as opposed to some people were throwing marathons together last year. People weren't getting information till the last second. So yeah, shout outs to the marathons this year.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is an example of a marathon. I guess it's not necessarily an online marathon since people will be in person for it, but Crystals for Life, the RPG speedrunning marathon's coming up here at the end of the month. It starts on April 29th, goes to May 4th. And it's looking like this year the extension beyond the traditional Final Fantasy style of the marathon is really, they're kind of stepping out of the bounds of that and playing a lot of different games. Do we think Crystals for Life is becoming the RPG speedrunning marathon? Are there going to be fewer RPGs in the GDQs as a result? What do you guys think about Crystals for Life? They're all frozen like, I don't know, RPGs.
I thought Andy was going to say something, so I was going to jump in. No.
Well,
I definitely think Crystals for Life is a great idea. Oh, what are you about to say?
No, it's fine.
We stumped them all. They all just
show's over. Everyone lost it. No. I think Crystals for Life is a great idea. I think it's great like I was just talking about, have a marathon that's very specific and plays to, and this isn't even, we're not talking about a niche fan base. We're talking about RPGs. And every year they talk about at the GDQs that, we can't find room for all these big, long games. Well, here's one where it can all happen. The biggest problem with it is that it's in Canada. And that's kind of a very, it's not Europe, it's not America. It's expensive for a lot of people to get there. Mm-hmm. So, and I know there are a lot of runners that I guarantee you would like to be at a marathon like this and support that and maybe give their RPG a chance. Like 90% of the games that are on the list right now for that marathon would never make it into a GDQ. They'd have a hard enough time getting into online marathons, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, some of these games that are making it into Crystals for Life, we're talking 8 or 9 hours and 2 or 3 runners across the game. Not necessarily one person sitting down and playing the whole thing. So this is a big departure from your standard GDQ run where it's 99% of runs at a GDQ. It's one person. They've got their friends on the couch giving commentary. But the passing of the controller isn't seen so much anymore at a GDQ, for instance. So I think it's interesting. There's it's a different style of speedrunning where you're kind of setting up the next person to take over, and I think the biggest thing that you kind of brought up, Spike, is that it's giving a lot of games a chance that wouldn't otherwise get one. Let me ask you guys, Andy or Ivan, if one of you wants to jump in. What do you think about RPGs in like a GDQ, for instance? Are there spots for them?
Well, I've honestly never been a huge RPG fan. Like,
I couldn't tell based on your reaction to the question.
Based on my blank face when you asked us the question earlier, right? But I do believe I don't believe there is a huge fan base for a lot of these RPGs, and just based on that, I think there should be some in a GDQ style marathon, but not like, we can't have multiple, 8, 9, 10 hour runs because that just takes away from too many other people.
Yeah. Go ahead, Spike.
Oh no, we've talked about, obviously it's been churning around about having a second stream. I know ESA is going to have that second stream. Are RPGs almost the big reason why you maybe want to have a second stream at a GDQ?
I could see it working. I mean, I think if you have 2 streams like that and you've got long game on one stream and series of short games on the other, you kind of pull in both crowds. It's people who are in for the long haul and people who want something that's 30 minutes in length and then they're done.
Because I find those two audiences are very polarizing. That you've got some people who they'll look at the marathon schedule and they'll say, "Oh, Chrono Trigger, oh, Final Fantasy, that's the run I'm going to watch. I'm going to forget about everything else. I'm just going to watch this one run." But you've also got a lot of other people on the other side who that's when they take a nap. That's when they're done watching the marathon.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can say, all right, I'm still just going to play to both of those audiences right now and say, you go to this room and you go to this room, and you're both, as opposed to alienating either one of you. Because I don't think it's a good idea. I know some people have talked about we need marathons that don't have an RPG in them. And I think you're just saying no to such a huge fan base there.
Yeah, I would agree. I also think that to the average viewer, maybe we're overthinking it as far as how much length will deter them from watching a run. If it's a game that they're familiar with, if it's a Final Fantasy or a Chrono Trigger type game, they might just tune in for the sake of, hey, I remember that game and I loved that game. And it's not so much an issue for them that it's a 6-hour speedrun for 100%. They want to be there for that. So I like what Crystals for Life is doing. I think it's certainly proving to be the all-inclusive RPG marathon. Just kind of giving you some facts here. They're going to play 32 different RPGs.
Wow.
That's which
that almost surprised me that fits in 5 days.
Yeah, when you think about it, I actually honestly thought that number would be a lot smaller, but
like they played 12 games in 5 days.
Yeah, they're raising money for type 1 diabetes research, so a good cause there as well. Some of the games, just to give you an idea of what's all out there: Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. We've got Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls, in there. We've got Pokemon. We've got Star Ocean. So quite a lot of stuff. And head on over to their site. One of the things I really like about their site, by the way, is that they kind of have like player bios.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, they kind of have like a picture for each runner, and then they say like where they're from, and then like a paragraph description of them. I think that's kind of cool. It kind of gives it that almost like the esports kind of thing where you're like, all right, hailing from, I don't know, Albany, New York.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
As they get the 10-second clip of their song as they walk out and pick up the controller.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still waiting for a GDQ where it's straight.
That would be really funny.
Yeah, you got you walk through the aisles and high five all the fans as you walk towards the couch. Somebody hands you your controller.
In this corner,
you take off the silk robe.
One of us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man! All right.
I'm calling for X2. It's happening.
Well, guys, the website.
That would be the run for it to happen.
Yeah.
The website there, crystalsforlife.ca. Check it out. It's coming up very soon, so if that's your thing, be sure to check it out. And shout outs to Poxnor for organizing that. I think he's still in charge, and it's kind of his baby. I think he kind of started it to begin with.
His house.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're moving it out to a hotel somewhere as well, right? So it's getting big.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
I think so. I think so. So let's go ahead and move on here, guys, to talk about our next topic, which I think you guys will all have something to say about. It is SRL leaderboards. Unfortunately, it looks like they were delayed again. They were expected to have alpha testing out by this week, specifically on the 7th. But they mentioned, Kurt Q mentioned in a paste bin that more work needed to be done, about 40 more hours worth of work needed to be done in order to get them to the point where they could be out for testing. So let me ask you guys, leaderboards have been a promise for a long time. They come up in discussion a lot. People want them still. It seems like they're out there as something that the community wants to have. But what needs to be done in order to make sure we get these leaderboards at some point? Who's to blame? Can we blame anybody? Do we say like, hey, it's... what are your thoughts on leaderboards, I guess? Where do you stand?
Well,
Ivan,
go.
You can go, Ivan. Go.
Quite frankly, it's not a huge deal to me. I'm happy with the leaderboard system that we have for the games that I run. So it's not. Once they come out, it'll be great. But for the meantime, it's not a big deal to me.
Okay. I think that's a fair opinion. Lots of games have their own leaderboards for their communities. Do you think that works better, Andy, versus having like a centralized leaderboard system? Do you think having it on a game by game basis is better?
Honestly, I think when the big leaderboards come out, I don't think the smaller leaderboards are gonna go away. Like they'll still be there.
Yeah.
They'll be more organized by the people in the community. But a big leaderboard will be just like, a better place where all the runs are, and you can just go look and see what times are.
So you think they'll coexist?
Yes.
Okay. Spike, what are your thoughts on leaderboards here?
I guess to build on what they were both saying, like Ivan said, there's still going to be this sense of, while there is this major leaderboard going on over here where you can go and check out all these different games, there's almost uh, this like passion that the community brings to their own smaller leaderboards. You can find it megamanleaderboards.com. You can find it Deer Tier, the Zelda speedruns leaderboards that you might not find at this like major hub. And I almost feel like even when these leaderboards come out, I feel like people are still going to try to link them to their own like smaller community leaderboards.
Let me ask you, do you think
Sure.
it would be better to, instead of focusing on centralizing the leaderboards, then just providing a place that people could go to branch off to all these different smaller leaderboards?
I would definitely like to see they structure it themselves, but also give links within the page. The biggest problem I guess I've had with STA over the years is I've almost wanted them to link. All right, here's this awful Kingdom Hearts 2 run from 6 years ago that Spike Vegeta sent in, but here's a link to his half an hour better run,
Oh, okay.
or some other guy that's better to go there and check that out. I just feel like it would be so easy to pass on knowledge about, we are further along than you think we are, but because there are these central hubs, you don't know where to go necessarily, and we're not telling you where to go. So I don't know. I would personally say I personally like to say I want to see leaderboards. I want to see SRL finally start this because I do think they can eventually grow into something.
Mm-hmm.
And it is exciting to see that they are only 40 hours away, whatever that means. But then again, we did say this over a year ago when they said it was almost up. So it was almost ready to go.
Yeah, I think the fair statement to say at this point is that it's not surprising anybody that they keep getting delayed, but I think there's still a want for them or a desire to see what they're going to look like. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, to be fair, obviously, is that I believe there's only 4 people working on them. So
Sure.
for every one of us that's saying, where are leaderboards and we want them, there's 4 people saying, hey, maybe we could have more people helping us out too. I don't know. So cool.
Sure.
Any other thoughts on leaderboards?
I also think that, like everyone got mad about the delay, but like it's not like they're getting, paid at all for that. I don't know if they're getting paid at all for this, and if they are, it's probably not very much. So it's like they still have a day job.
Sure.
It's not like they're focusing all their time. So it's not like, I don't know. I don't see a huge problem with delaying it. I mean, you have other stuff to do. You have other stuff to do. You can't really control it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kind of goes back to the same thing that people who complain about, oh, why can't the GDQs, why can't we have a second stream? Like I did earlier. Why can't we have a second stream? Why can't, GDQs expand? It'll happen when other people start volunteering and saying, like, we're going to help out. No matter what these 4 individuals are doing for the leaderboards, it's going to take many, many communities to keep them accurate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that's a fair point too. Yes, I think the takeaway here is that the community involvement needs to be higher too, outside of the people that are just working on the coding part of it. Once they come out and people are testing them, in order for them to be successful, there need to be a lot of people who are motivated to want to make them into something bigger too. So yeah, I think we've had some good points there. I think the smaller communities probably aren't going anywhere. So yeah, let's move on and talk about something that's a little bit more funny and less serious. Let's go out of bounds. I think you guys are gonna like this topic here.
I was like, wait.
As we go out of bounds, it's time to take a shower, everybody. Naglaria would like to let you all know that you smell terrible. Take a look at this post that he posted in the side events for SGDQ thread earlier this week. It says, quote, I know you Melee nerds are going to play Melee no matter what, but you guys seriously need to take a shower. Make it a requirement of the Melee tournament if you have to. Rule number 1, shower between each match. Every GDQ that has had the unfortunate Melee tournament ended up smelling horrid for 2 days at the least. You guys stink. and you always will if you don't shower. If you think mandatory showers are asking too much, then at least put some deodorant on and have some Febreze handy, and make it a bring your own controller event too. I don't understand why you Melee nerds love to destroy perfectly fine controllers that belong to other people. That is quite the quote. So let's start with just the obvious complaint here. He's saying the Smash Nerds smell. Does he have a valid point? Is this something that needs to be addressed at GDQs, or is there something else going on here? Spike, you like this topic a lot. I think you should go first.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I'm just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say for
Alright,
a
Andy's
huge
going first.
tournament, like that in a not that big of a conference room like it was at last AGDQ, it's gonna get hot. It's gonna get sweaty regardless of whether people are taking showers or not. So it's not gonna smell the greatest in there either way.
Yeah, is it fair to say that the smell was probably more the result of it being a small room?
Yes, and no windows, not great ventilation. That is more of a cause than the sheer not taking showers or putting on deodorant or rolling around in some poop outside, whatever it was.
Let's say that there's no Smash tournament. There's just a lot of people in that room. Is it going to smell just as bad, or are the Smash kids just, the more unclean of the people?
Well,
Spike.
yeah, Spike, you can go.
No, sure. I guess here's what yes, people. I came home from AGDQ. I was actually very, very sick. I caught something from somebody. So I will say, if everyone could ignore all the other specificities of it being Smash Nerds, that people, yes, they absolutely need to be cleaner. Nightmare absolutely has a point there. People need to be cleaner. They need to take showers. They need to worry about their hygiene, or else none of us are going to end up having a good time from this. That being said, if you want to focus specifically on, quote unquote, Smash Nerds, I guess the biggest thing I would worry about, I wasn't at the beginning of AGDQ. I know a lot of people there are very much interested in playing Melee and Brawl, not so much Brawl, but, if there's, I guess I just want to make sure that they don't in some way take over too big of an area. And I'm sure they could find some, I definitely trust people like Mundungu who would be organizing these to figure out some way to do that. Whether that's there's only these 2 TVs you can use. If you're doing just casuals, you need to do it in your hotel room or something. But I know I would walk in there even late in the marathon and see 8 TVs in a room taken up by Melee matches. So
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism. I mean, it's certainly a popular game. Lots of people that go to the GDQs like to play it. Did it ever bother anybody else? Was it tough to get onto a TV in one of those rooms if you wanted to?
It was pretty hard to get one in the casual room, but in the practice room, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I didn't really go into the casual room too much.
All right, Ivan, let me put you on the spot here. If it's not the Smash Nerds who are smelling bad, who is it?
Really?
He's like, do I have to be on the show? Can I just leave?
Just leave the Skype call.
Yeah. Don't answer that. You don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that.
Let's face it, we all smell bad.
I think so I think the moral of the story here is that he's got somewhat of a valid point, but maybe he's honing in on too specific of a group. It's not necessarily just the Smash Kids.
We would never accuse Naglair of being biased at all. But.
No, not at all. All right, that was fun. That was random. You can tell we're reaching the end, so let's go ahead and get there, shall we? Let's go ahead and move on. It's time for Glitch Please, guys. A common thing in Super Mario Sunshine is the ability to skip cutscenes by exiting an area. Here we've got Zig of Zag live, attempting to skip the Petey Piranha cutscene. He's trying to find a way to make this work. And he does make it work, sort of, but not the way he wants to. Here he exits the area, and take a look at what happens. Rather than skipping the cutscene of his dreams, It turns out he reset the game. So
That's really
funny.
funny.
All these wrong warps that help out with everything. He wrong warps to the start of the game.
Yeah. That's something else.
That's pretty good.
I can safely say I haven't seen that one before. So,
I have not either.
Yeah, no.
man,
He
who
seems
knew?
pretty surprised in his videos.
Who knew Exit Area was such a misleading title there? I think area, they probably meant game.
Quit.
Man, okay. Well, we've all seen better days than that. So, shout out to Zig of Zag Live for submitting that one, guys. If you have either a top play that you'd like to show on the show or something that didn't quite go the way you wanted it to, be sure to send those clips to thefinalsplit@gmail.com, and we'll try to get them on the show. But guys in chat, it's time to get your questions ready as we wrap up the episode. Your questions for Ivan, Andy, Spike, and myself as we go ahead and move on to the boss rush here.
So I've got one question to kind of start us off here. I want to go ahead and kick this over to Andy and Ivan. With how successful the marathon's been so far, what's your new actual dream goal that you can reveal right now? What do you think you guys can get to?
Our dream goal right now is $5,000. We actually have a special secret game planned if we actually hit that goal, which will be really fun. And I'm not revealing that on this show. I am sorry.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well,
I'm in the collective and I don't know, so yeah, that tells you.
it looks like we've got questions for Ivan that he's already answered in chat, saying Bear Force 1. So
it's a good question, and I approve of the answer as well.
this question I think goes to everybody. This is from Battlebrick. Wants to know, what are your thoughts on segmented speedruns in 2014? Is there a place for them anymore? I feel like no one's doing them.
Not a fan of segmented stuff.
Do you want to elaborate on that? I think that it's kind of obvious why we all are in agreement here, but do you want to explain what dissuades you?
I don't know. I don't like the idea of picking up like where you left off later on. It's just, or like even like pausing your timer in the middle of a run. I don't know. It seems weird.
Yeah, I think a fair statement to make is that in segmented speedrunning, what ends up happening is then you almost guarantee yourself that eventually you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
Sure.
Versus a real-time attack where you could take thousands of attempts at it, and if you don't play perfectly for that whole run, you're gonna have to reset and try again. So I think generally speaking, segmented is not nearly as popular as it used to be for those kind of reasons.
I know Puexel, Final Fantasy runner, if anyone doesn't know him, pointed out this a couple years ago. He just said, segmented runs feel like a poor man's task. Like, if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just go watch a task?
Sure.
Or, basically just going to one extreme or the other. I know personally when I got into speedrunning, there was just this idea of, I want to be able to beat a game in a single sitting. Not show you, okay, I can do this part perfectly, and then it might take me a few weeks, and I can do this part perfectly. I want to see what I can do all in one sitting, one go.
Sure. Okay, another question here from Mac Daddy Knox. Ivan, is Trogdor the literal Who going to bop you for free in the X2 race?
Dude, he's gonna bop all of us free, man. Trogdor is the sleeper in the X2 race.
He's the literal Who.
Literal Who.
Yeah, I definitely see coming up for SGDQ, Trogdor is kind of, no offense, kind of the Ivan or the Krause. Yeah. Like, he's going to walk in the room, people are like, okay, I know Pi, I know Ivan, I know Caleb. Who is Trogdor? Who's this guy?
Yeah,
and people will know, oh, this guy can play.
Yeah, they're going to be surprised by him for sure.
They will be.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's kind of the, I don't want to say dark horse, because I think he's certainly up there as far as skill level, but literally Who? I guess we're spinning it. Apparently Trogdor is the sleeper and Pi is actually asleep. So.
I love you, BJW.
All right. We seem to be low on the questions tonight, but let's see. Another question here. LP3 Cinema wants to know, do you think a world record counts if you're the only one that runs a game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you finish a run, sure.
Yeah,
World records aren't just arbitrary numbers. They're literally the fastest run in the world
that's not
ever.
quite the quote, but we'll take it. That's close.
It's close enough.
He's had a long weekend and
So,
he's still
man, if
got
he
so much
knows
more to
this
go.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been studying too much there.
I think if nothing else, even if you're not directly competing with someone else, you take pride in the fact that you're setting the bar.
Sure.
Like, I feel like I'm the only person who's truly taken Tropical Freeze, new great speed game, seriously so far. And would I say I have world record? Sure. If nothing else, it's just something to say, this is world record. Go and beat it if you don't like it being world record.
Sure, yeah,
So,
I think that's fair. I also think that just because something is called a world record doesn't mean there's a lot of value to it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly world records that mean more than others. I think it's a fair statement to say that 120 star Super Mario 64 is a tough and meaningful world record to have versus just picking up a new game and being the first person to do a run of it. So, yeah, I think that's kind of how we feel about that. Fat Homie wants to know, what are your new speed games and when is Bubsy? We're not getting any good questions tonight, are we? We're just getting collectively trolled.
Alright. Well, Ivan's already answered that for the most part.
I'll say home improvement.
Andy, what's on the horizon for you? Is it just Link
Well,
to
let's
the Past
see.
still?
After SGDQ, I'll probably be taking a break from A Link to the Past unless something huge happens again. I just got my SMRPG cart today.
Ooh.
And I have Illusion of Gaia in the mail, and same with Kirby Superstar. So I've got a whole slew of games to pick from.
Lots of good
the
SNES
rest of
games
the year.
there. Awesome.
Okay. One question for me to kind of go back to the Crystals for Life theme. If any of us in this call, if you had to speedrun one RPG that isn't named Super Mario RPG, what would it be?
Chrono Trigger.
Looks like, again, going off of what Andy just said.
I heard Chrono Trigger from Ivan.
Chrono Trigger.
Is that a favorite of yours from childhood, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good choice. Andy?
And I definitely think out of all the turn-based, really good choice. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
He's like, I need to look up what an RPG is.
Well, I haven't played that many, so I
thought it was interesting. You said Illusion of Gaia earlier as one of your games that you have on the way, and then I heard you a while ago say that you consider that an RPG.
Well, it's more like it's an action RPG, I guess. There's definitely like some definite RPG elements to it in terms of leveling stats and stuff like that, but I consider it more of an action game by far.
Yeah, it's almost more of a top-down Zelda style.
Yeah, pretty much.
With stats. So, I don't know. Interesting. For me, I'm kind of cheating and going off of Ivan here, but I always wanted to run Chrono Cross, which I just love the music in that game, first and foremost. Like, I think that's one of the best game soundtracks of all time. And music is always a good bonus to have in a run. But it's too long. Like, I can't motivate myself to run something that long. So
here, I have
I'll
one.
leave that to other people.
Barkley's Shut Up and Jam Guide.
I was expecting one of you to say that, to be honest. Like, that's
there you go.
That's right up your alley.
I've played some of it, not all of it, but I've definitely been meaning to go back and finish it at some point.
All right. Well, I think that's good to wrap up right there. Are there anything that you guys want to mention about the collectathon quick before we start to wrap up? Other than go watch it.
We have some interesting.
5,000.
Why is Pi
I want to see what
calling?
this game is.
we have some interesting.
Pi is trying to interrupt the show.
Trying to
Wow.
call me.
What the?
Wow. Ruining the show. Classic
We have
Pi.
some good donation incentives coming up.
Do you want to give us a hint? Like, what's on the horizon here?
Well, let's see. We have Spike Vegeta and I Ate Your Pie singing Disney songs during his Kingdom Hearts run.
What
So
else do you need?
That that can't go wrong at all.
No,
We
that's
also-
the new Cassius right there.
I'm sure most of you know, since I Ate Your Pie is pretty big, but he lost a bet to me a few weeks ago where he had to stream an entire week without his shirt off.
Without his shirt
But
off?
I mean, without his shirt on. I apologize.
Just making sure.
You're gonna have
Okay,
to put
so
that shirt.
Yeah.
anyways, he strategically placed his camera and played ads specifically so you wouldn't get to see his nipples. And he
shame.
offered to do his Paper Mario run, shirt off, nipples showing, with an extra incentive to ice them every once in a while during the run.
I can't
So
wait to find out what my unknown donation incentive is when I go to play. Yeah, what am I signed up for? I don't know.
all was suggested by Pi and agreed
okay.
to by Pi. So it wasn't like, hey, you're doing this. I don't care what you think. He was like, hey, let's do this. Let's make some more money for the marathon. It'll be funny. And that's why I like the group that we have so much.
There we go. Yeah, everybody's in good spirits about it. So, all right. On that thought, we're gonna wrap up the show here, guys. One more thing to do before we wrap it up is somebody has to give the speech.
Uh-oh.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, Andy and Ivan. He's motioning for it.
Oh.
He's motioning upwards, upwards
motioning
towards
upwards.
Andy.
Oh,
Andy,
all right.
would you like to give the speech?
Sure. All right. Well, let's see. I received a fan letter.
A fan letter.
Yes, a fan letter from one of my stream viewers. Her name is It's Maddie Bear. She's actually in the chat somewhere down there. And it was handwritten on a loose leaf piece of paper, which is freaking adorable. And I'm gonna read it out to you guys. All right.
Okay.
Dearest Andy James Lasso. Hi there, how are you doing today? Fun fact, I'm actually left-handed. I'm drinking tea at the time of me writing this. It's currently 4:33 p.m. on the 13th of March. This took like 2 weeks to get to my house, since it's from Australia. Hey Andy, I hope you can see this message now that the chat has died down. I wanted to say congrats. I know you can do a little better, but I always want to tip my hat off to you. Through thick and thin, I will always be there to support you. I know times are hard, but you always come back with a good attitude. I wish you the very best on your next runs and hope you can get an even better score. I will continue to be here and find new strats. As always, great job, Stiv. I'm rooting for you always. You should be proud. Here's a poem. Here's a poem. Martha was ugly like a shaven baboon, so she wrapped herself up in a curtain cocoon. After a week, she finally submerged. She smelled like wet garbage. What a psycho. Inspire. I don't know what else to write. I'll draw a pug. Thanks. Or that's all I have to say. Have a nice day. Love, Maddie. P.S. Sorry I took so long to send this. Sad face. And here is the said pug that she drew.
Oh,
Wow.
Look at those eyes. You can't say no to those things.
I think, yeah, you are one lucky streamer there getting fan letters like that. Do you keep that pinned up on your wall or anything?
It's just been sitting on
It's
my
just in a
nightstand.
pile of other crap. Yeah, you got there. You're not taking any care of it, Andy.
Well,
Andy.
it's
Frame that.
folded up nice
Oh,
and
okay.
square.
Well, she did get his
It
name
doesn't
wrong,
get
so.
wrinkled.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
All
name
right.
is Adrian. Come on.
Wow. All right. Well, that was good. That was good. I like that. It's a very non-traditional speech for us. So with that being said, here, guys, we're about to wrap up the show. Next week on the show, we've got Mike89 joining us, our first international guest. That's going to be a lot of fun for us, and hope you guys will join us then. April 19th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Big shout outs to Andy for stepping in and playing the role of Sinister One this week.
Anytime,
Appreciate it.
man.
And Spike, pleasure as always.
Yep.
And Ivan, thanks again for being the guest. Guys, be sure to follow everybody that you see here on the stream. And we'll see you guys throughout the week. One more thing before we go. Just remember that your run is not over until you hit the final split. Go check out the Collectathon and the Metroid Marathon. Have a good week. We'll see you.